What's up, guys? Today we are at the General Lew Wallace Museum, and this is in Crawfordsville, Indiana. Now this place is pretty cool. Look at this unique shape of his study. This was his study. His actual house is actually right there. Now they've added on to it that new owners have this, that, and the other. But that's his actual study that we're going to be going into very soon with Deb, our guide. Now this is where he would sit out every day. And he also wrote Ben-Hur. There's a movie on it from 1925 and other dates as well. I'm actually going to add that in here. But he actually wrote that right here where we're going to walk. There was a big tree here. It's no longer here. But this is the approximate spot he wrote Ben-Hur. That is him. That is General Wallace. Now, he had ties to President Benjamin Harrison, who's from Indiana. Abraham Lincoln appointed him as a general. So this man lived a lot of different lives in his 77 years. All this was his. I mean, look at the structure of this place. It's so cool. I've never been inside, so I'm very curious as to what it looks like inside. Here we are looking at the reflective pool that once was here. Obviously it's not here no more. So that is that. So that's pretty cool. Look at that. Isn't that neat? So this used to be a pool. Huh. Pretty interesting stuff. That's original to the day. That's pretty neat. Huh. A lot of history took place right here where we are standing. A lot of history. Right here, right behind me, was original to the day. This yellow house right behind me was the original cottage house to General Wallace. This is in honor of David Wallace, governor of Indiana, father of the General Lew Wallace. So that's pretty interesting. So yes, this was the original cottage house. Now they just restored this in 2005. They were actually going to destroy it because of how bad it looked. So we got to keep our history alive.
He was an artist from Poland.
Okay.
And he brought this young man to Crawfordsville and told him what he wanted characters from his books on his building. And so Judah Ben-Hur is over the front door. Judah's sister Tirza is on the east side. And then from his third book, Princess Irene, and then Prince of India is on the north side.
Okay. I've never seen the movie, so it's kind of hard. I knew of it, but I've never
Of the Ben-Hur?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You should really watch the 1925 movie. It's a silent movie.
Okay.
And it's out on YouTube now because it's off the copyright things now.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good.
Okay.
You have to realize it's from 1925 though. You know, so.
Oh boy. Here we go. Look at this.
This is, we had a complete restoration in 2015.
Oh wow.
So when you come in, you're seeing it like Lew Wallace was seeing it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, except for LED lighting.
I can see why you spend a lot of time in here.
Yeah.
It's just cozy.
But it's not huge. The building looks pretty good for me.
Yes. Yes, it does.
But it's more intimate inside and everything. So.
It's interesting.
So like I said, 25, almost like a box, 25 by 25.
Right.
To the frieze up before the plexiglass starts, it's 26 actually. So almost a perfect box and everything. And once you go into the back room, you'll see, of course, Lew was in his 70s.
Yes.
He built it.
Yeah.
And I've always said that there are 3 things that he did not do in designing this building. And one is the rods up here.
Okay.
We know Lew had some artwork hanging from that.
Oh, okay.
It's 19 feet up. They didn't have extension ladders back then.
Right.
So very hard to access back there. The other thing that is, I would have called it a problem back then is their stairway. And as you look down, when you go back there, you'll see, as a man in his 70s, he has a very steep, very narrow tread, curving stairway to go to the wine cellar, his workroom, and his restroom.
Okay.
There's no way I, as a 5-year-old person, I would do that. The last thing I didn't think he designed very well is the heating for this building.
It is a little chilly.
The lights that you see down below are called Edison lamps. They are gas and electric.
Okay.
Electric was fairly new to Crawfordsville, and so he had the tried and true gas in here. But they also had a gas fireplace that he had intended to heat the building. When you heat with gas, back then, gas heats at a super high temperature. The higher temperature, the hotter the temperature, the faster heat rises.
Correct, yep.
And so here he is in the middle of the room with his desk. What's going to happen is, you have 26-foot ceilings.
You're not going to feel anything.
You're not going to feel anything. So within about the first year, the 2 years, he ended up jackhammering the 14-inch flooring and put a coal boiler in the basement.
Okay.
So that's like the 3 design flaws I always thought Lew Wallace did.
Okay.
In designing this building. About 95% of what is in this room is from Lew Wallace's home.
So it's all original.
It's all original, except for this little area that are copies of Ben-Hur.
Okay, okay,
We have, at last count, we've had 23 different languages.
okay.
And we always look for more. But everything else is from Lew.
I remember it said he was a fisherman.
He was a fisherman.
Yeah.
His invention is the silver thing down below.
Okay.
I always call it the very first pocket fisherman.
Pocket fisherman,
It
okay.
is a reel inside the handle,
Okay.
and so the line will come out the end. This is just one of the 5 pieces that actually go into the end, hollowed out piece of wood. And so the line will come out through the middle of the...
We're going to take a step in here.
Yeah,
Oh.
look down the stairway.
Oh, okay. We'll look down the stairway. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a straight.
Yes.
That is a straight walk down.
Yeah, anybody that, any maintenance people, I always say, you have to walk, well, even our director and our associate director, they have to walk sideways.
You might as well like pull a lever, and this is a slide.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
is,
think we've all fallen down.
is this? Oh, look at that. That's cool. I assume that's from the screenplay,
That is from,
the actual movie.
that is from the 1925 movie.
So the original.
Well, there's actually a movie in 1907,
Oh.
a 12-minute movie that was done without.
That's the silent one.
Nope.
Oh, the 1925 is the silent one.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Now, there was a movie made by a candy company in 1907, but it was made without Lew Wallace's permission, and so they sued, and it ended up, the court case went to the Supreme Court, and that's where the very first issue of copyright laws came about, because Lew Wallace, a state by then, and the producers of the Broadway play sued the guy that made the 12-minute video movie in 1907.
So this is the original costume?
It is the costume from the 59 costume, yes,
Cool.
from one of the Roman soldiers.
That's pretty neat. There's a lot of neat things here.
Pretty much the books were considered masculine, and so we're assuming that most of the books from the house actually got out here.
That's
before they were
cool.
sold.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
So they mentioned in the video Lew as an artist. So
Yes.
beside the big painting that Lew painted, the landscape in the oval
Okay.
is a portion of his duck hunting camp in the Kankakee area.
Okay.
And then the cows in the river. is
Okay.
another one of Lew's landscapes.
Okay.
And the other different one, which is of the cherubs
Okay.
right here, which is actually an unfinished painting.
Oh.
In the sketches that we have of this, there is some more elaborate things towards the bottom of the painting.
Okay.
And so we're pretty sure Lew was not finished with that.
So you guys missed it, but this one is pretty cool. That is him standing, correct? That's him standing?
Who?
Lee? Like, or is that part? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh,
John Surratt's the tall one.
okay. So he was a part of.
Not Lee Harvey Oswald, no. Yeah, the actual guy that pulled the trigger is the one with the cane with the dark hair mustache.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is all the people that were tried.
They were tried and convicted.
Tried and convicted of Abraham Lincoln's assassination.
Yeah.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
I never knew there was 9 people. 10. Because a woman. Yeah, because the woman.
And they did pardon, like Dr. Mudd, who's sitting behind. He was sent to the Dry Tortugas, which is like an island down off of Key West.
Okay.
Prison. It was horrible conditions, but he was
pardoned I've heard of that. Okay.
And stuff, so.
That's pretty interesting stuff. President Harrison has been in here. Who else has been in here?
Well, of course, we always mention Charlton Heston, but you haven't seen the movie, so.
No, I have not.
Charlton Heston was Judah Ben-Hur in the 50s.
Oh, okay. So
So he's been here 3 times.
Okay, cool.
So, of course, we've had Lew's portrait resided in the governor's mansion for 10 years.
Okay.
We finally asked for it back because we want it here.
So being appointed by Lincoln, did he ever come here? Did Lincoln ever come here?
I don't recall any records of him being here.
Okay.
That being said, I think they had mutual respect for each other. Lew Wallace was actually in charge when Lincoln was killed. His body was put on a train and displayed throughout the country.
Yes, I remember.
Lew Wallace was in charge of the arrangements for the state of Indiana.
Wow. Okay.
So, he could figure out where it stopped and who got to see what and how long and everything.
Because I saw that in the museum. It shows where he was tracked from D.C. all the way back to Springfield.
Right.
I seen that. He did fiddle. He was not a good violinist, right?
Correct.
But he was a good fiddler.
And the way that Lew's mind worked, he was curious as how the sound was made.
Okay.
And how do you figure that out? But you take something apart.
So are these original?
These are that's Lew's violin making kit.
Wow.
He went to New York and studied with a master violin maker.
That's pretty cool.
And got the kit. So there are supposedly 3 finished violins out there. We have contact with people that say they have one.
Okay.
Documentation quite isn't there, so we'll see.
That's pretty interesting.
And we have a finished violin.
That's pretty cool.
Now,
That's
interesting.
interesting.
I always like to call it's his smoking apparatuses.
Okay.
You have the peace pipes in the center, of course, from New Mexico territories. But the bullet-like object on the left is a cigar humidor, and the little thing beside it is a matchstick holder.
Okay.
Or match holder.
That's pretty cool.
And then on the far right, you have a hookah pipe, which is the blue China thing, and then with some of the different apparatuses that you can use during your hookah times.
So it looks like these are patches of.
Those are the shoulder boards.
Okay.
That would go on his uniform.
Wow. So those are original to his uniform? Mm-hmm. That's super neat.
Mm-hmm. Those are the extra ones throughout his career. And I always said we need to actually make a label that says which patch is which.
That's super cool that you even have that.
Yeah. Well, and it's like back in the day, wealthy young men that went off to war always had dueling pistols.
Yep.
Whether they used them or not, no. But Lew actually was a second to a second in a duel one time. Didn't have to do anything during that duel. And then the swords, mostly are our presentation swords.
Okay.
That were presented to him during various things.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was a great tour. I do want to thank Deb for showing me on her off time. She didn't have to do this. So I do appreciate her doing this. And I mean, the history here is just through the roof, literally.
There you go.
So thank you so much, Deb.
You're welcome.
And I will link their stuff down below, all their Facebook. The website has Ben-Hur that led to a blog about the ghost. That's how I figured that part out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys want to get that all.
Old blog post.
Yeah. So I'm going to link that stuff down below. And other than that, appreciate the history with the chime.
Listen, just wait.
Ah. Ah. It's kind of ominous.
I love low tones. That's why I said we've got to videotape noon and put it on our website or on our Facebook.
Well, we'll try to help.
It chimed 12 times.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it chimed 4 times at 4 o'clock.
I like
It
it.
still works 130 years later.
130 years later. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.